So James, you worked on some cool construction technology related
Yeah.
things. What talk to us about what you've done from a technology perspective, and where do you think the construction technology is going in the future?
Yep.
And how do you believe it's going to help us?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I was in one of my roles. We worked with a company called Conquer, which is basically shortened down for construction QA or quality assurance.
Yeah.
So that's the name, CONQA. And so we were using them on one of our Housing New Zealand projects to basically facilitate not having to have as many council inspections. So we did a really stringent quality assurance process. So that's how I got introduced to them. And that was kind of my first foray into setting up a bit of construction tech. I mean, you've got your zeros for your timesheets, and I always try and run at least a Trello board for each project where you can do site diaries and update information and things like that, and having good file control. And we've all used Aconex and Procore and all those, but actually delving into a QA sort of a custom built bespoke piece of I wouldn't say it's not bespoke software, but bespoke setup for our company. That was quite an insight for me, and sort of working with them led me to getting a job with them. So they sort of came to me and they said, "Hey, look, we're needing someone to learn the ropes here in New Zealand for the next couple of months, and then move over to our Melbourne office and start tackling the multiplexes and the pro builds and the lend leases and all the big chunky subcontractors over there." So that was a pretty hefty task during COVID as well.
Oh shit! Right.
So we moved there 4 weeks before they went into their first COVID lockdown in Melbourne.
Oh yeah.
And we were there for the entire COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
So I sort of was a key account manager, was meant to be meeting with these big builders, wining, dining, showing them how a piece of QA software can.
Next minute you're on Teams.
Yeah, we're
doing
on
meetings.
Zoom, doing Zoom meetings, and all of a sudden I'm picking up a sales component. I'm selling software. I'm running the JSON converters to convert it from a spreadsheet into code and getting it into the software, and actually we're trying to get an offline app off the ground and everything like that. So that was a learning curve for me. It was completely taking a different set of my skills and going, cool, I've built houses. How do I build a
software tech business?
Software tech business in a new market where they'd been established but they didn't have full traction. So that was pretty cool. It certainly added a few feathers to my cap, so to speak. But in terms of where I think everyone wants a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
I think no matter what business you're in, and I think in construction there is a real adversity to technology. Like there's that old, I've had this running like this for years. Why do I have to change it? Is
it just adversity or just people not knowing the value of technology?
Definitely. And
it's just it's just easier for me to print a set of documents and actually read the drawing.
Yeah.
As opposed to doing anything else.
Yeah. It's like I can do that with a spreadsheet. Why do I need a piece of software that does it as well? Or I can just send an RFI in an email. Why do I need an RFI program? Yeah. Or I can just take photos for my QA and run a check sheet on a Word document and just copy and paste the photos in. I'm like, yeah, but someone has to do that.
Yeah.
So my big thing was always, health and safety I think has been revolutionized across the industry in terms of tech. Like I think people can see the benefit of having that. With QA, I always say that QA is health and safety for your business. So it's making sure that your business is still going to be functional in 10 to 15 years' time, that guys are, and it's not defects. That's the thing, is it's creating a short checklist that's under 10 checks that says, hey, this is what we need to be doing at this stage of the build for whoever you are in the industry, and making sure that it's compliant, that the key steps.
Is that what Conquer does?
Yeah, really Conquer does that, yep. And there's a bunch of them out there that do it.
No, yeah.
And then it's
that's the problem. Therein what you said is a problem.
Yeah.
You said there's a bunch of them that do it.
Correct.
Now, let's say you're a builder.
Yeah.
Right? So if I come to you on site and turn around and tell you, here's your system for health and safety, here's a system for quality, here's a system for cost management, here's a system for time management, I've just given you 5 bits of software to manage.
Correct. And they're $1,000 each month.
That's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Pay the money, whatever.
Yeah.
But now you have to spend valuable time understanding 5 bits of information in 5 different softwares.
Yep. And that's
the information
that's
the information from which is not in any central database.
Correct.
They're not interconnected information.
You can interconnect some of them.
Maybe, sure. What are you going to spend another
Another
100,000 is sitting in building custom APIs to connect all your data.
Or
what a waste of time.
You're going to
because none of that makes you money, right?
No, you're going to a Procore and you're trying to square peg round hole. You're trying to shove a square peg that's a piece of software made for the American market into something that works in Australia or New Zealand.
Yep.
And that is where I think we're starting to see a little bit of a shift. You're getting the Hammertechs out of Australia, you're getting, Concrete out of New Zealand, there's VisiBuild, there's some of these big chunky bits of software being made for the New Zealand and Australian markets. But there isn't a one-stop shop. There isn't, you've got Fergus, you've got Traderfy, you've got all these ones that are trying to bridge across multiple aspects of it. I think the reality is that you need 4 to 5 pieces of software to run even a small residential company, whether it be Xero, Build Exact, that's got, your financial tracking and scheduling. And then you've got to add in your QA. So if you're going to do like SiteCam for QA is what we've been doing at QBS, where that allows you to sort of do RFIs, defects, and a bit of QA at the same time. But then like file control, like,
We use OneDrive or whatever.
You can OneDrive it, you can Google Drive it, but if anything was to happen to that, like, and then is that transferable across all your team? Like if you've got a foreman on each of the jobs, you're able to give them access easily. And I think that's where the barriers in the software comes, is the tiered permissions. So like you don't want to pay a full-fledged user license for every single person in your business, or the director and the senior project managers and the site foreman and all that, because that can get expensive. You're spending upwards of 10 grand a month on software. That just increases your P&G, which increases your overheads in the business.
See, I'm still okay with the cost of a software, right?
Yeah,
that's
and
still
I think
okay. The problem,
but I think the industry isn't.
the problem is,
Yeah,
I mean, you've got to pay for the software, bro. You know what I mean? You want to make your life easy. It's a subscription. Yes, pay the fucking subscription, right?
Yeah.
But my problem is you having 5 bits of software that are not interconnected. It's not having that information in a central data lake that I can extract valuable insights from. I don't think any construction company in New Zealand's cracked that.
no, and I think
I'm even talking about the big boys.
no, I don't think anyone has, and I think we're even more like Australia hasn't cracked it.
Yeah.
And we're a smaller, more unusual market than they are. Like we do things a little bit differently here than they do it over there in construction. I think if they can't crack it, the only way we're going to crack it is by it being created here. So it has to be more tech being created out of New Zealand that can transpose to Australia.
How are we going to do that when half our workforce is left across the ditch to Australia?
Exactly. So that's where we're up against it the whole time. But I think the biggest barrier is that old school mentality of we've never had to use tech before.
Yeah.
So we're having to teach people, and I always use this analogy of my job is quite difficult as a project manager, because I'm dealing with people that might have been 15-year-olds that have dropped out of high school that have come into construction, and they might have a lower socioeconomic background or a lower IQ, all the way out to people that have got doctorates, and engineers and stuff, and guys that have been doing it for 30, 40 years and everything in between. So you've got people of all these walks of life, all these different things. And I think that is the biggest barrier to tech. Like the business owner sees the value.
Yeah.
Because if it saves time, it saves money.
Absolutely.
The clients can see the value because if it's keeping them informed and keeping them up to date on what's going on site, that's great, and having those insights. It's the guys on the ground. They're the ones that are inputting this data. They're the ones that are bringing it to the forefront for either QA or health and safety or scheduling or all those sorts of things. And it might be the QSs who or the junior QS that has to input all of the financial data into there. And as you say, it's facilitating conversations or links between those bits of software, which I think is where we're lacking. And we don't have, you can go pay thousands of dollars for a Zap to go between them, or an Automate.io to get it done. But you're doing that specifically for you. And I think a lot of guys then turn around and go, I'll make my own software.
Yeah.
And they invest $150,000 into making their own piece of software that's bespoke for their exact business and has no transferable meaning
to anybody
any
else.
other business, because the way every business runs is so unique.
Yeah.
That it just makes it's such a challenging thing, but we have to do it because we're so unproductive.
I think we will get there with AI now.
Yes,
and the problems of AI in the market.
As long as they don't take my job, it's fine.
I'm sure AI may replace a few jobs, but am I worried about it? Probably not. No, don't even. Yeah. I mean, can AI sit down and talk to you on a podcast?
Might do.
Might do. You never know. I never say never, eh?
It might not be as funny as us, but
I'll be funny. I don't think
know.
Maybe. I'll ask the audience.
We'll see what they say.
Yeah.